Good morning and welcome to Atlas Forge, the educational platform. This is CEO Andy Morbitzer, welcoming you to the call. As we get started here, you'll find that the information that we put out at Atlas Forge, there's always a positive and there's always a negative. And we try to come up with solutions to those major problems that we see around the world. And today we're going to talk about cryptocurrency and the evil side of cryptocurrency, because whenever you talk about money, and that's what cryptocurrency is, Bitcoin and the altcoins and the like, it's money. Now, blockchain is a little bit different. It's more of an accounting ledger. But with that said, what I'd like to do is, first of all, unfortunately, I got to explain the downside of cryptocurrency. So that's what we're going to talk about briefly here today. As I said, anytime you deal with money, you're dealing, and your opponent, if you will, against we the people, if you want to think of it that way, is the elite, the IMF, the Fed, the central bankers, because he who controls the money controls the masses. And this has been true for millennia, since biblical days. So cryptocurrency is going to challenge the status quo, the establishment, if you will, and we're nowhere close to where we need to be for we the people to own, maintain, and control our own money. So we'll get started and we'll do an overview here on cryptocurrency and the downside. So let's kind of build a picture and a scenario in your mind of what would be a government coin, an IMF coin, or a Fed coin. And a Fed coin really refers to a cryptocurrency or a protocol established by a central bank. And that's the key. Whenever the central bank gets involved with cryptocurrency, true cryptocurrency, then, why, of course, there's going to be some friction. It would be very easy for any government or entity or central bank to really forge their own Bitcoin very easily. I've built a cryptocurrency. I've had it put on the exchange. It wasn't that difficult. You just know the right people and how to go about it. It's quite easy. So with that said, will the U.S. create a Fed coin and force us all to use it? And my first gut reaction is yes. And I'll get into the details of why I believe that and why this could be dangerous beyond what you think cryptocurrency is. So a Fed should pre-mine all the currency that they want to issue on a blockchain. Well, there's pre-mined coins, there's proof of work, there's proof of stake. And some are, meaning if it's pre-mined, they have all the allocation of the coins at their disposal immediately. So when you pre-mine, where all or part of the cryptocurrency is issued in the first block, and that would be called the Genesis block. And then very easily they could create Fed coin and make an exchange, one Fed coin for $1, and have a pairing there, just like any other currency for that matter. So when we look at, I read an article, and it's been a couple of years ago, by Koning, that if the Fed would create a new blockchain called the Fed coin, for example, or maybe it created a coin like Ripple that's more of a ledger, an accounting mechanism. There's a difference between cryptocurrency and decentralization and Ripple, for example, that is really not a cryptocurrency. It is an accounting method. It has all the niceties and all the features of what cryptocurrency has, but it's truly not decentralized. It's really considered the bank coin, or the coin for the banks. And Ripple, if you've been watching Ripple, we've owned it for several years. My intent was to, make money on Ripple. Not that I'm supporting the underlying theme of what it can and can't do, but a Ripple style ledger is being used right now. Matter of fact, you see multiple central banks around the world, most notably in Japan, where I believe they're up to 100 banks that utilize Ripple for international transmittal. I know it's coming to the West because I've been approached by my personal bank here in the United States, where they're beta testing XRP, which is Ripple, at this very moment. Now, my companies were really small fish in comparative of who they're sharing and beta testing it with. I'm not a Fortune 500 company, nor would I ever want to be. But what happens is, this is really a bank-controlled coin, Ripple. But there's a difference between the Fed coin and a traditional cryptocurrency. The Fed coin, for example, it would have special authority to create and destroy ledger entities. the Fed would provide two-way physical convertibility between both the existing liability types, i.e. paper money, electronic, credit cards, the whole deal, and the Fed coin at a rate of 1-to-1. But where it gets interesting is the simplest way for a central bank to create its own cryptocurrency is to fork it off the existing protocol, Bitcoin. So that new protocol is really unchanged in every way, with the exception, and it's a huge exception, they would be able to set and adjust the block mining rewards at its discretion. So in essence, it can do quantitative easing at its discretion. The same way through the SWIFT system that they do now, they print money, print it out of thin air. The same thing can be applied to cryptocurrency. And like paper currency, the central bank's cryptocurrency would be both decentralized in transactions, but centralized in supply. So they would keep the transactions secret on their end, but yet they could tell everywhere that we spent our money. And it would be a centralized supply, meaning they could, if you wrote into an algorithm or from the initial Genesis block, they can create supply, thus again manipulating the currency to their whatever their latest whim is, whatever their needs may be. So I look throughout the United States and I see all kinds of scary things going on. And it's happening really all around the world. There's similar scenarios all over the world. But when you really want to look at, I believe as the dollar goes, so goes the world. Every currency is really tied to the US dollar. About 95% of all currencies are pegged to the US dollar. And the remaining percentages, the 5% that aren't on board, just to give you an idea of how serious it is when you challenge the elite and the central bankers of the world on the subject of money. It's the most powerful entity in the world, hands down, period. It controls the money, and it has for since 1913. So over 100 years, this system, this archaic, nonsensical financial system that is fractionally reserve banking, which is horrible, inflationary, declining, reduced purchasing power. They can institute the same manipulative ideas with cryptocurrency. So you look at, Janet Yellen, you look at the IMF, you look at the BIS, you look at the World Bank. They all got together behind closed doors and started discussing cryptocurrency. Now they have some time to react to cryptocurrency. Believe me, central banks will be heavily involved in cryptocurrency one way or another. They could simply build their own. They could outlaw the others, or they could be even more devious because the market cap in cryptocurrency is at this point insignificant. There's not enough users. There's not enough monetary velocity to even make a drop in the ocean. That's how small cryptocurrency is. So, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about, did you miss the boat? Did you miss the profitability of cryptocurrency? And the answer to that's absolutely no. Understand that the powers that be that run monetary systems are allowing us to operate in this space. And there's a bunch of anarchists out there and a bunch of crypto crazies is what I call them, that say, oh, they can't shut down Bitcoin. It's here forever and we're going to change the world. I love their spirit. But at the end of the day, I'm an economic realist. I'm here to improve my standard of living. I'm here to improve my bottom line, my profit, my earnings. But understand, money, it's a formidable foe. And when you look at the entire market cap of cryptocurrency, it's 0.5% of what's called monetary velocity, meaning there's so much money that moves in one day, fiat currency, and then you compare that to Bitcoin and all the altcoins, it's 0.5% of the money that's moved on a daily basis. So if we, the people, have any chance in hell of getting our own money that we own, maintain, and control, we need to spread it out a whole lot bigger, much faster. We need mass adoption. And there's been some things that have withheld this expansion, ease of use, scalability, all of the, and that's the big one. And people are working on those things now, but we need a lot more people, because you look at the volatility of cryptocurrency and it's very simple. You got all these guys that are out there saying the crash happened because of this and the crash happened because of, that's all nonsense. The crash happened because too few many people own too much Bitcoin, and they're Chinese miners. You can tell by the wallets, the inactive and the active wallets. And here in just the last week, inactive wallets hit a high, meaning there's about 1,000 wallets that make up about 80% of all cryptocurrency. Again, too few many people own way too much cryptocurrency. That's why there's volatility. It's linear thinking, it's trading, it's the same people trading in and out of the same coins, pumping and dumping and making the volatility. Because if there was more people, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people, maybe 1 billion people that owned one Bitcoin versus 1,000 people that make up 80% of the market, you would eliminate the volatility. Now, if we could work on ease of use and scalability, we'd have a perfect scenario to take a real run at fiat currencies. But we're nowhere close to that. And there's a lot of dangers because they make the rules, they control the current money. So be very careful. I always tell people the key to the next decade that is going to be the most challenging in your life will be diversification. Diversification in asset classes that are not paper assets, that are not controlled by the IMF, the Fed, the central banks, or the like. Diversification means you want to have some assets in a lot of different asset classes under a lot of different jurisdictions. And I see all these people living the lottery dream, and that's what I call it. They're linear thinkers. They think that they're going to buy an altcoin and they're going to hit the lotto and it's going to be worth millions of dollars. Well, that ship sailed, in my opinion. The majority of cryptocurrencies that I see and I research and I look at the white paper have no utility. They have no use. They have no velocity, and they won't be here 5 years from now. And I firmly believe the most popular used coin hasn't even been created yet. So is there opportunity? Yes. Is there dangers? Absolutely. And you better understand where your money is really going, because it can be complicated. And that's what we do at Atlas Forge. We look at opportunities to put you in the best position to earn some money, to understand both sides of the asset and what's going on in the world macroeconomically. So a key argument for FedCoin and the perceived need to stabilize a cryptocurrency by pegging it to a traditionally issued money. And there's the problem. If they have a cryptocurrency that's really pegged to a fiat currency, it serves no value to us. We're still enslaved by that money. So the pegging, and when I look at this, because they have the control, wouldn't be voluntary. Think of it this way. Entitlements, meaning people that live off of social programs, and this happens all around the world. You look at the financial landscape, Wall Street, NASDAQ, the Shanghai, you look at bankers have a built-in distribution arm, meaning let's say you're on unemployment. Let's say you accept food stamps. Let's say you want your Social Security. You want your insurance benefits. Let's say that you work for the government anywhere in the world. The only way that you could get paid is through the FedCoin. And that is trillions of dollars. That is millions upon millions of people worldwide, probably billions of people worldwide, that if they want to get paid, they're going to have to utilize the FedCoin or that government's coin or that state's coin or that selected entity coin. So it's not going to be like you get to make a choice. And that's the scary thing. I think that the altcoins in Bitcoin, the cryptocurrencies that we see now, will become what is like cash now in the black market. Understand cash is dangerous to bankers and governments because it's a whole underground society of transactions in the trillions of dollars that bear no revenue, that bear no taxation, that can't control people. So cash is, there's a war on cash around the world from central bankers because they can't control the people. They're not privy to what they're spending their money on. So it's a very dangerous game and it's very complex. And you need to stay on top of this stuff, first of all, to make some money. Second of all, know when to get the hell out of Dodge before it all comes crumbling down. Or the rules change. They're notorious for changing the rules in the middle of the game, taking their ball in their bat and walking home and leaving us, standing at the plate, waiting for a pitch that never comes. So just like paper currency, central banks will eventually step in to create their own cryptocurrency, their protocols, and they may even go as far as forbid any other use of any other cryptocurrency. Now, that could be very difficult to enforce and do at this point. You know, you look at all these different governments that try to suppress their people and their access to internet and capitalism, and that's turned out terribly. So I think cryptocurrencies, there will be some that have their own unique values and their own unique ecosystems, meaning you have a certain group of people that are willing to accept whatever that coin is as payment. Remember, if it's not backed by anything, which most cryptocurrencies are not, it's a perceived value. Because you say it has value, it has value. And that's all you really need for a money is belief, is with faith. Now, you can take it a step further and back it by gold and silver or some other kind of tangible asset or commodity or what have you. But even then, by combining crypto with commodities or gold, be very careful, because on one side, the cryptocurrency can be decentralized, anonymous. You own, maintain, and control it. But the moment that you back it with, let's say, silver or gold or something like that, then you're introducing a regulated commodity that's backing a decentralized money. So in essence, as great as backing cryptocurrency with gold is, it really undermines the whole nature of what cryptocurrency is. Cryptocurrency, now I love the idea of cryptocurrency being backed by gold, but it's got to be done in such a way where it doesn't really impede your rights and your privacy and your liberties, because it can quite easily do that. So just like what happened with paper currency, central banks will eventually step in, create their own currencies, their own protocols. They call it whatever they want to call it. I use Fed dollars for this one, and you'll always be able to, redeem it in the central bank. But it is all the great that cryptocurrency has to offer. And I mean, it's great. It's faster, cheaper, more reliable. It can be used internationally, no borders, no capital controls. There's privacy, there's freedom. It has so much value. But on the other side of that, you might have to exchange your privacy for these new central bank backed coins, because it's all about, and I'll show you the next slide here. I put this in, and now it's time for the rebels, and I know that's kind of weird language, to figure out how to create a stable price version of Bitcoin. And I read that from an article, and it's not really rebels, it's we the people. We the people that are tired of being encumbrances, being led and controlled by money, being the bearers of indiscretion, meaning when the government prints all this money and does some wild investments that fail, why, of course, we the taxpayers have to bail them out. And stable price version of Bitcoin, I don't think you should write an algorithm to figure out how to create a stable price version of Bitcoin. The equilibrium will be found through, like every asset class should derive its value, through simple supply and demand. Do we know what that value is? No. Could it be $1? Could it be $1 million? Absolutely. But let's not look at stable price version of Bitcoin. That almost sounds like it's being manipulated. True supply and demand in a decentralized network will find its equilibrium, good, bad, or indifferent. Yesterday's monetary controls, quantitative easing, interest rates at near zero or below cannot sustain a bankrupt dollar with this waning global relevance. Yesterday's methods are going to come and end. So what could the feds do? What the feds can do is cryptocurrency. FedCoin, for example, and what's coming to a start, the primary benefit to government would be centralization of supply, transparency of demand. So they could really centralize control of the economy in ways that you could not even imagine. Why would people use the cryptocurrency? The FedCoin would almost certainly emerge as the parallel currency that would be adopted to governments to require for the use and paying taxes, accessing entitlements such as Social Security. The FedCoin would be a tool to push towards a cashless society. Remember, central banks hate cash because it doesn't generate revenue. It doesn't generate taxation. It is the black market. And, those will be the excuses that will be used to, and the propaganda used to force this new government coin, IMF, Fed coin, give it whatever name you want, will be based really right on that. They'll say, well, theft and drug dealers and the like. And that's where they fear you into using their coins. And then, of course, most people can't go beyond about a month without getting paid. So they're going to be forced. They're going to look the other way. Most people will be so uneducated as to what they're agreeing to. All they want to do is get paid. They don't look at the underlying deviousness of these central banks. So the Fed really likes to blank a lot of problems on lack of transparency. But with blockchain and the Fed coin technology, they can see everything and everywhere. So it's complete transparency. They want to eliminate cash, so they love cryptocurrency. Are they in a big hurry to rush to market and bring this? No, because like I said, there's not enough of us right now. There's not enough monetary velocity that really we're not impeding, we're not threatening, we're not challenging the status quo at all right now. We're not big enough, strong enough, fast enough. We're just not there yet. I mean, I don't know how many accounts there are. I'm going to guess tens of millions. But when it comes down to utility, people are not using it as a money. They're using it as a way to try to get rich quick. The boom and the bust of January 2018, a year ago, it hit the high of almost 20,000, and everybody got all excited, and the hype built all the linear thinkings, and everybody got all excited, and then it crashed. Just like, why? Because too many people own too many coins. I keep telling people this. They just simply won't listen. If this is going to be successful, there's got to be a whole bunch of people yelling from the mountaintops, and I mean quickly, like in the next year or two, or this is going to be all for naught. Even though there's billions upon millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in technology behind some of these coins, and it's great, don't get me wrong. But when you're up against the most powerful entities in the world that make the laws, that control all the distribution of everything, from Forex to the stock market to food stamps, they have a built-in distribution arm where they can dominate this space relatively easy. And the other way that they can do it, they could simply buy out the market cap of all cryptocurrencies and just dominate it. Boom. I mean, it's not that big. Very easy to do. You can do it quietly behind the scenes, and it might already be happening. This volatility and these great drops, they just didn't happen by a couple of people hodling with their coins in their Blockfolio and their, Trezor. They didn't all come together and say, hey, let's sell our cryptocurrencies today. No, there's some big players, and some of those big players, are anonymous. So be careful. Penetration of the walls might already have been in the works. So without cash, you have no privacy. If you put everything into a bank account, the government knows exactly what you're buying, what you're selling, how much you're earning. They're in complete control. And now, this is just on earnings and spending and being able to track remember, data is the asset. The more information they gather on you, well, let's just put it this way. They'll take what they want, including your entire account, if you become politically undesirable. And that's scary. I mean, look around the world of all the people that have, freedom of speech is out the window. You have no privacy anymore. It's become a very scary world. So FedCoin would give the government a godlike ability to track wealth. The justification will be, prevent crime, drug dealing, money laundering, all this propaganda and BS that they feed us. And it's awful. And they all do it. So it'll be very interesting to see how this path winds down and what countries are going to have their own cryptocurrency. Is there going to be a one world cryptocurrency? Could it be, special drawing rights through the IMF that create a Fed coin that's supposedly backed by gold? Because you need a certain amount of gold holdings for every country to have special drawing rights, meaning create a new currency through the IMF. Now, that's for the fiat world, and I assume that cryptocurrency would be no different. So think about what they could track or stop you from doing because they control your coin. For example, fat people could be, like me, I'm overweight. I wouldn't say I'm fat, but I'm healthy. But I could be prevented from buying sugar, gum, Maybe I'm not allowed to have my Tim Hortons coffee and donut in the morning because I'm outside of their, parameters for what my weight and height should be. Gun owners might not be able to get ammunition. Teenagers might be banned from buying beer, cigarettes, video games. The possibilities are endless. They're infinite. The amount of control and data and their ability to suppress or cut you off from buying widget A, B, or D, or whatever it might be, it's all about control, and it's very serious. If I was a millennial, if I was 30 or 40 years younger, this would be of my greatest importance because it's going to dictate your standard of living in the future. You don't know it yet, but it is. See, there's going to be some major things that change the world. Blockchain is going to be one of them. It's going to be huge. It'll be the underlying accounting mechanism for every major corporation in the world because it makes sense. It can track. It's got smart contracts that can release monies upon certain thresholds. It can do amazing things. And then the other thing that'll change, two other things are there. I've got top three things that are going to change and dictate the landscape of the world over the next decade or two. That's going to be blockchain. That's going to be 5G. And that's going to be IA, artificial intelligence. So when I look at those three industries, two of them are really, IA is going to, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of jobs, both white collar and blue collar. If you're in any kind of repetitive business, I don't care if you're a lawyer, an accountant, or a fast food worker. If you are in a repetitive job or industry, career, whatever you want to call it, you will be replaced by artificial intelligence, and you will see it more and more and more. It'll be the biggest change in the world ever. It's going to run on 5G, run on blockchain, and we're going to have artificial intelligence. Those three things combined together, in essence, will have the ability for you to no longer have privacy whatsoever in this world. Now, some call it the mark of the beast and all that kind of good stuff, but think of the power that can be used for bad, because cryptocurrency in its beautiful nature, in its essence, is simply amazing. It's beautiful. It makes sense. Now, in the wrong hands, just like nuclear weapons or nuclear power, nuclear fusion can be used for good, for energy and all that goes with it. But on the other side, it can be used to kill the people. So same thing with money. It controls you. It tracks you. Remember, data's the asset. AI, blockchain, 5G. It will change the world the way we know it. So when I look at the FedCoin, would merely extend existing policies under, the social programs that we have now: food stamps, medical, Medicaid, Social Security. Just like they prohibit spending on alcohol, casinos, strip clubs, those types of things, all can be done 100% controlled through the money. Their efficiency as what they have now, because there is cash and there is, transactions that happen in cash. The government could prohibit anything without even passing a law. They just change your coin or your algorithm, the smartphone or the chip. It has to be programmed to let you buy that. How are you going to get it? So I see a lot of controversy. If this goes through, boy, I don't even want to tell you what I think about that, but there'll be a lot of people around the world that'll rise up and riot. And you see that, most notably right in Venezuela. The government hyperinflated their currency and decreased its purchasing power in a matter of 2 years, where millionaires are now broke that have absolutely no money in the bank. That's why you saw a 2,000% surge in Bitcoin, because it was the only safe place people could have their money. And now, Venezuela, the sneaky little Venezuela, comes back and says, well, we'll provide you a cryptocurrency that's backed by oil. And here we go. So be very careful, guys. You need to understand the future of really these three things: 5G, cryptocurrency or blockchain, and of course, artificial intelligence, because it's going to change the world. All these conveniences and niceties that we want and we see are really going to inhibit your privacy and your liberties. You don't know it yet, but it's coming, as it has in the past for millennial. I can't put it any other way. Here's the question. We don't know if governments will succeed, because I look at governments now as they're all about the bottom line. They're all linear thinkers. They're all about all these elected officials have their own personal agendas. They all are greedy. They're really, government was intended to really outline certain things in our lives, but they weren't supposed to be the controlling factor in every portion of our life. They weren't supposed to be the biggest employee, employer, renter, rentee. I mean, landowner. They own everything, everything. And it's a small and elite group of people around the world that control the entire world. They own everything, and they make the laws. So it seems clear that governments will make the attempt, but I'm not sure they'll be successful, because you look at all these different things that government get involved with, and they simply lose money. You know, so many times governments go to war over money. Governments fund both sides of wars, meaning give loans to both sides of countries. And then they go kill everybody and they destroy everything. And then, you know, they come in and they save the day and give them a loan to rebuild the cities that they just bombed. It's crazy. What happened to love and peace and all the things that, you know, humanity was supposed to stand for? We've gotten away from that. And I won't get into it on this call, but holy cow, people just need to calm down. And we, the people, need to take back our lives. I do believe that. So let's say the better the technology, and those that wish to tame it, they end up usually coughing on dust. Because for every situation, we, the people, when you look out throughout history, it's we, the people, that have made great change. I don't care what innovation. Innovation is driven by capitalism, not socialism. And people don't understand that. That's why I'm yelling from the mountaintops. I don't want to see you people imprisoned, encumbraned, and you need to live a free life full of light, not darkness and politics and, you know, war. What are we teaching our kids? So this is a huge moment in time where, you know, the economists of tomorrow will look back at yesteryear and look at these developments of technology, 5G, AI, and blockchain, as these are disruptive. So we'll see how it all plays out. I just wanted to get on this call and say today that, you know, there's another side to cryptocurrency and money, and unfortunately, it's not good. So we'll have to follow it very closely and see what comes of it. And the whole reason we started Atlas Forge was for educational purposes, to give people a plan B, to give them some idea of macroeconomics, an idea of the things that are really controlling you, that are changing and encumbering your life in so many different ways. Are the people really ready to own, maintain, and control their own money? Because ironically enough, most people don't understand a damn thing about money. They don't understand anything about fractional reserve banking, because if they did, they would probably have a revolution in the morning. They'd revolt in the morning. I forget what famous president said that, maybe Lincoln or somebody like that. But fractional reserve banking is awful. The only beneficiaries of fractional reserve banking, our current system, are the banks. So, you know, cryptocurrency comes along and there's this beautiful rainbow that says, hey, we the people have an opportunity to own and maintain and control our own currency that's not manipulated, that's not inflated, that's not controlled, and we're not controlled by it, is a beautiful thing. Whether we get there is a whole nother thing. Because right now we don't have enough oomph. We don't have enough momentum. We don't have enough people. And the ones that we do have are not using it as a money. They're buying it, holding it, linear thinking, looking at price only, hoping they're going to make $1 million. Well, that's not going to happen either. So are people responsible enough to own, maintain, and control their own money? If we look throughout history, the answer to that's unequivocally no. Hell, most people can't even balance their own checkbook. They don't understand compound interest. They don't understand debt ratios. They don't understand how bad and debt really is. And then the other big one I look at, are we naive enough to think that we actually can have our own money? And that's a huge one to me. Being in financials and money my entire life, I looked at them and been and seen firsthand the manipulation on Wall Street and these derivatives and these toxic loans and the central bank and these archaic rules and these major corporations that short and manipulate the precious metals. We certainly can't trust them. So I look at the next level, we the people. Most people are in debt. They don't get it. Mark my words, all this free money that's floating around the world, all this debt, $300 trillion worth of it, is going to come at a price. And what's going to happen over the next decade will be the most challenging decade in your financial lives. End of story. Plain and simple. You got to remember, I was in the military, and we were in, what was it? We invaded Kuwait, Iraq. I don't know, whatever Desert Storm was. We went there on the premise of, they had bombs of mass destruction. Well, they never had any bombs of mass destruction. I was young and naive and, wanting to go save the world. Why, of course, that all turned out to be nonsense. They never had any weapons of mass destruction. The real reason that we go to war is because those countries are not in the SWIFT system. I talked earlier that most monies go through a complex intermediary banking fractional reserve system called the SWIFT system. And the 5% of the countries that don't utilize our SWIFT system, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and now North Korea, why, of course, guess what? So conveniently, these are the last 4 countries we went to war with. Is that a coincidence? I think not. It's all about controlling the people, controlling the money. Why do you think now we're looking at Iran again and North Korea again? Because of the money. They're 2 countries that don't participate in our money, and they perceive that as a threat. So this is very serious politics. This is very serious on a worldwide scale. I always think in the back of my mind, there's a window of opportunity in cryptocurrency to diversify, to have another asset that is online that you can have access to, that isn't subject to capital controls or declaration at a border, or it can't be closed down like a bank or an ATM. It's another asset, another spoke in the wheel of assets. Remember, we do the cryptocurrencies. We do some great, I think our next cryptocurrency call is going to be on mining, green mining, where, right now cryptocurrencies are spiraling downward as far as value. We're teaching people how to find coins that have utility, have a use, that make that are appreciating great right now, and mining future cryptocurrencies that actually have a use, that solve the problem, that help people make money, save money. So the opportunities are out there. You just got to know where to look. If you're one just sitting with your cryptocurrency on an exchange or in your hard wallet, and you're just a linear thinker and you're sitting there waiting for the price go up, well, it's going to be a cold winter. You might not ever make any money in cryptocurrency. I mean, you got to, when I say diversify, no, you have to diversify into multiple real property. You need to diversify in income. You need to diversify within the cryptocurrency space itself. There's many different ways that you can make money on cryptocurrency without the price even going up. So throughout history, you just got to remember that governments go to war over money. And then lastly, when I look at cryptocurrency, there is no insurance. There is no FDIC, meaning Federally Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is not a government company. Again, it's indolent, it's bankrupt, it's insolvent. It's quote unquote the entity that insures your money sitting in the bank. And it's all nonsense. They're $50 billion or so in debt, as well as our governments, as well as our central banks. It insures absolutely nothing. When the tire hits the road, at the end of the day, they can just seize your money. And you people that have money sitting in safety deposit box, good luck trying to get that out if the bank closes. I mean, you're in an uphill battle. You need to be proactive and take things into your own hands here in the 21st century, because things are getting very aggressive, let's put it that way. And there is no tether to cryptocurrency. You use your credit card and somebody scams you, you've got recourse. You've got a way to get your money back. If you go through, the bank and somebody tries to fraudulently rip you off or whatever it might, you have some recourse. Now, with that said, with cryptocurrency, if somebody hacks you and takes your coins, they're gone. If you send your coins to the wrong address, wrong public key, they're gone. So there is a bit of a learning curve on how to operate in the speculative arena, but do it safely, do it wisely, and learn from the people that have already done it. That's what we do at Atlas Forge. We teach you how to buy it, where to buy it, what to buy it, how to store it. And just like anything, so many people I see, especially younger millennials, that are all crazy about the greatest improvement in money in the world. That's great, but they have all of their money in cryptocurrency. That's dangerous. I don't care what asset class it is. If you have all your money in one entity, whether it's all in gold, all in whiskeys or wines or diamonds or cash or whatever, land, real estate, it doesn't matter. If you have all your net worth in one asset class, you're a fool. History's taught us that. You must diversify because you don't know how they're going to manipulate things in the future. You don't know what rules and laws and regulations are going to change that will probably not be in your favor. But what can you do? What can you mitigate against? Well, you can have multiple assets in multiple jurisdictions where they don't have the power to seize it, control it, or manipulate it. Whether that be online with cryptocurrency, whether that's strategic metals that are, stored in a vault in a faraway country under a different regulatory government. And I'll get getting into all the other assets, but you get my point. A well-diversified, well-thought-out plan. That's all you can do. You can only account and insure or prepare for so many things because you just don't know. But you have to do it in such a way, does it make sense to have your money in X, Y, or Z? So that's how we teach people that there's a whole other side to money, whole other side to investing, where you own, maintain, and control. You protect what you have. You invest from a position of strength, and you speculate in a safe environment. 3 key factors. So if you want to get out of debt, you want to live the lifestyle that you want, you got to get on board. You got to be a little more proactive. You can't sit back and let others dictate. Don't let others control or manipulate your priorities. When your priorities are somebody else's options, well, you've got no leg to stand on. You need to be proactive and take control of your financial life. And I know most of you do not. I mean, can't tell you how many 401ks I've looked at and the statistics of who invests, who doesn't, how many people are totally unbanked, people that don't invest whatsoever, and the ones that do invest are not diversified. They have no clue what they're invested in. They're paying their broker whether they make money or lose money because that's all they know. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a whole other side that is less risky, more valuable, and these times of volatility and chaos is when we've made some of the best appreciation of products in our lifetime. And I certainly plan on making tens of millions of more dollars in the next decade because I already know where it's going. I know what communication's going. I know where telecom's going. I know where blockchain's going. I know where artificial intelligence is going. Electric vehicles, drones, smartphones, computers, iPhones, smart cities. Holy cow. I mean, it's already all laid out. It's diversified. It's safe. It's prudent. Lastly, and this I think is going to be something that you're going to start seeing more and more of. Think of a world in the future where the central bankers of today are replaced with the central bankers of tomorrow. And what I mean by that is look at Microsoft, Google, Apple, Facebook. I could name a lot of different companies, but they've got a built-in following. They've got a built-in social platform. They've got an imprint, a footprint. They've got a massive following. They're huge corporations where very easily they could make an Apple coin, a Google coin, a Facebook coin. Very easily, you earn a coin when you click on somebody's like, or you earn points. but it could become a very interesting micro ecosystem where, you know, if I was a huge corporation, I was looking like Apple or Microsoft or Google or Facebook, I most definitely would look in, you know what? Why don't we build our own coin? We keep a captive audience. We have a built-in ecosystem of billions of hundreds of millions of users already. So think about that. Could the central bankers of the future be, Zuckerberg? I mean, holy cow. So remember, the asset is data, and these companies control a lot of data. The monetization of data will be the number one income producing field in the future, if it isn't already, because data will be collected through blockchain, data will be collected through 5G, data will be collected through artificial intelligence. They'll be able to predict. When I look at IA and I look at artificial intelligence, at some point, just like in that movie Terminator, machines become self-aware. And these things are impressive. And they're not so much artificial intelligence as they are a predictive algorithm. It's not like they technically think, but you give a computer enough data points, enough data entries, the probability of X happening or Y happening is greatly increased because they know your habits, they know your spending habits, they know your movements, they know where you eat, they know where you sleep, they know everything. They know when you're hot, when you're cold, it's scary. I can't put it any other way. Will it improve the quality of life? And are there some great conveniences? Absolutely. But there is an evil side to all of it. And it's all about control. And it's all about data. And that's the future we're moving into quickly. If you are one of those people in one of those repetitive industries right now, and you're a 9-to-5 worker, I don't care if it's white, blue, find yourself an additional income stream. Go incorporate yourself. Go find a business that's an additional income stream, because mark my words, in the next decade, 40% of the workforce will no longer have a job. That's what AI will do to the world. Now, will there be other jobs that are created through that? Absolutely. But it'll take time to transition into those responsibilities and those needs as we move forward. But right now, brother, you better believe in capitalism. You better be proactive, and you better get your act together, because if not, you're going to be another entity that's going to have to rely on social programs. And we know how that ends. You're not going to be happy. We, the taxpayer, the people that support those programs, are not going to be happy. This is big picture thinking, guys. That's what investors do. That's what speculators do. You got to be able to see the future. I'm building the future now. Remember, the gold miners didn't make the millions. The general stores did, that sold the picks, axes, and shovels. That's what we do at Atlas Forge. We sell education. We paint a picture to the best of our ability, and we are the general store. We sell the real property ideas, assets, and things that are going to help you not only survive, but thrive in the next decade. More money's made in volatility and downtimes than it is in good times. Absolutely. And as things go south, there'll be more and more opportunities to pick up some highly undervalued assets that will make you even more money the next 5 or 10 years. But you got to understand how it works. Now, to me, I understand the Bible. I read it and I believe in it. I don't think we're at the mark of the beast, but I see a lot in my reading where people think that the Fed coin, for example, it may not be a chip that's implanted in you, but it is a mechanism to a ledger of data about you, your activities, your spending, what you buy, who you pay. It is, in Revelation 13, it specifically says, without which no man may buy or sell, imposed by the beast. Am I saying the Bitcoin is the beast? No. I'm just trying to put it in perspective to you that in all its greatness, cryptocurrency could be that controlling factor in your life that you really don't want. So enough of that negativity. And I didn't really enjoy doing this call, but I felt obligated, being a mentor, a teacher, a educator of macroeconomics, that I think it's right that you need to hear the other side of cryptocurrency and the destructive possibilities when in the control of the wrong entities, and the effect that it could have on your life. And we're moving in that direction quickly. So if you want to hear more from industry experts, become a member today. Atlas Forge, 21st Century Asset Protection. We talk about these things really daily, weekly. We've built a library from everything from macroeconomics to inflation to the dollar to real property assets to cryptocurrency picks to strategic metal picks. To the world's changing, it's evolving, and it's a load. There's a lot to learn. I mean, mostly my mornings have made up of nothing but research and reading, and we're doing it across a plethora of different core competencies that we need to understand so we can articulate the good, the bad, and share it with our friends and family here at Atlas Forge. So with that said, we will talk to you again very shortly. Have a great day. Take care, guys.